The first crack of thunder rattled the windows, and my baby's tiny body jolted in my arms. I pulled her closer, wrapping my coat around her trembling frame, whispering soft promises that everything would be okay, even though I knew it wasn't. The storm outside was merciless, wind howling like it wanted to rip us apart, sheets of rain crashing down. And there I was, standing on the porch, locked out of the very house I had bled for, my own parents peeking through the curtains. It wasn't an accident. I had knocked gently at first, thinking maybe the door had slipped shut behind me when I stepped out to grab the last bag of groceries. But then I saw the flick of the curtains, the unmistakable silhouette of my mother's smirk as she pulled them closed, and my father's shadow beside her, the shake of his head, the casual cruelty in his voice that carried even through the glass. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video? Better the rain deal with you. She's useless anyway. My knees almost buckled. My baby whimpered, her cheek pressed against my soaked shirt. I begged. God, I begged. My fists pounded the door until my knuckles burned. Please, let me in. She's just a baby. The storm drowned my words, but I knew they heard. I saw the flicker of light from the television, the glow of warmth I was denied, their laughter faint but deliberate. Every crack of thunder was like an echo of their disdain. Each drop of icy rain was another reminder that in their eyes I had never been a daughter. I had been a burden, a mistake, a punching bag for their bitterness. And now, even as a mother myself, they couldn't resist showing me my place. I pressed my forehead to the door, tears hot against the cold wood, my baby crying louder now. Please, I whispered, she doesn't deserve this. But there was nothing, no key turning, no footsteps. Just silence broken by laughter muffled through the curtains, my father's voice mocking, maybe she'll finally learn her place when the rain beats it into her. The storm raged harder. My arms ached from holding my child so tightly, shielding her with everything I had left. My clothes clung to me, soaked through, my shoes filling with water until every step squelched. Hours passed like years. My baby's cries turned to soft hiccups, her tiny fingers clutching at my collar like she was begging me not to give up. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I realized they weren't testing me anymore. They weren't trying to break me. They already believed I was broken beyond repair. But they were wrong. I rocked my baby in the storm, whispering to her through chattering teeth. One day, sweetheart, this will all change. They think they can lock us out forever, but they don't know who they've created. They don't know what I'll become. The rain poured, lightning split the sky, and still I stood, because what choice did I have? To leave her out there? To collapse? No. I would not give them the satisfaction. When dawn finally cracked through the storm, painting the sky with pale light, I was still standing there, shivering, soaked, exhausted beyond belief, but alive. My baby pressed to my chest, her tiny breaths steady against my heart. And as the curtains shifted again, my mother's smug face peeking out to see if I had collapsed, I lifted my chin. Our eyes locked through the glass, and I saw it. The flicker of surprise that I was still there, still breathing, still fighting. That was the moment I knew. They had tried to wash me away in the storm. Instead, they had forged me into steel. And one day soon, I would return the storm to them. The days after that storm bled into each other, but the memory of standing there, drenched and shaking with my baby in my arms, would not fade. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my mother's silhouette pulling the curtains shut, heard my father's sneering laugh. Better the rain deal with you. She's useless anyway. It looped in my head like a broken record. I should have been broken. That's what they expected. They thought the storm would shatter me, that I'd crawl back on my knees begging for scraps of their approval. Instead, something inside me solidified. Their cruelty had always been sharp, but that night, it became unforgettable. It became the line I swore I would never let them cross again. I found a way out. A kind neighbor, Mrs. Halverson, widowed, mid-60s, kind eyes, saw me sitting outside with my baby that morning and brought me into her home. She pressed warm blankets around us, made tea, whispered, "Honey, no mother and father should treat their child like this." Her words cracked something in me. For the first time, someone had said aloud what I had been too afraid to admit. They weren't parents. They were predators. From that day, I stopped waiting for their love. I started planning, not for revenge yet, but for survival. I picked up extra shifts at the diner, the smell of burnt coffee and fried eggs clinging to my hair as I carried plates with my baby strapped to me. When the night fell, I cleaned office floors, the vacuum hum drowning out the anger twisting in my chest. Every dollar I earned went toward my child's future. Meanwhile, my parents flaunted their wealth as though my suffering was entertainment. My sister Lindsay posted photos online. Her in a glittering dress, Dad's arm around her shoulder. Mom showing off the new curtains they'd bought. The same curtains they had pulled shut on me. The caption read, "Family nights are the best nights." I laughed bitterly when I saw it. Family? They had erased me from the picture, literally and metaphorically. But I didn't argue. I didn't comment. I stayed silent. Because silence is a weapon when you know how to use it. Over time, I became invisible to them, and in that invisibility, I found power. I learned where they went, what they valued, how they bragged. My father boasted about his poker nights, my mother about her perfect reputation at church, Lindsay about the boyfriends who spoiled her. They were so loud about their triumphs, they didn't notice me watching. One night, while my daughter slept in her crib, I sat at the kitchen table in my tiny apartment. Papers were spread in front of me, copies of bills I had paid, records of the debts I had been forced to shoulder, photos of their purchases, even that sale contract they had once hidden when they sold off things behind my back. Piece by piece, I was building something, a map of every cruelty, every betrayal. I didn't just want revenge, I wanted them exposed. The chance came sooner than I thought. A local community dinner was being organized, a fundraiser for families in need. My parents, of course, volunteered to host. It was their perfect stage, polished smiles, hollow speeches, parading as the picture of generosity while their own daughter was scraping by in silence. When I saw the flyer, something inside me ignited. This was it. Not in some courtroom, not in private whispers. Right there, in front of everyone whose respect they craved. I began preparing. I rehearsed in my head what I would say, how I would show the truth without breaking down. I collected testimonies from those who had seen me working, neighbors who had witnessed their neglect, even receipts of the expensive curtains, champagne, and dresses they flaunted. The night of the fundraiser, I stood outside the glowing hall with my daughter bundled close to me. My palms sweated, but my resolve didn't waver. Through the glass doors, I saw them, their smug faces illuminated by chandeliers, my father shaking hands, my mother adjusting her jewelry, Lindsay laughing at some man's joke. I took a deep breath. My baby's soft breaths steadied me. I wasn't here to ask for love anymore. I was here to deliver a storm of my own. The fundraiser hall glowed like a palace, chandeliers spilling gold light over rows of decorated tables. The sound of laughter and clinking glasses filled the air, the smell of catered food drifting outside where I stood clutching my daughter. My heart thudded, but my jaw was set. Tonight wasn't about nerves. Tonight was about ending their charade. I pushed through the glass doors, my soaked sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. Heads turned. Some faces brightened in recognition. Others frowned in confusion. But the only ones that mattered were my parents and Lindsay. Mom's smile faltered first, her wine glass pausing midair. Dad's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening as if he'd bitten into something rotten. Lindsay's laugh cut off like a snapped string, her lips twisting into that familiar smirk. "What are you doing here?" Dad hissed under his breath as I approached, his false grin plastered back onto his face for the crowd. "This is not for your kind." Mom leaned in, her voice sharp enough to slice me open. "Take your bastard child and leave before you embarrass us." The words should have stung. They didn't. I had heard them too many times before. Instead, I adjusted my daughter on my hip, kissed her forehead, and stepped closer to the microphone Dad had just used to give his speech about family values. I picked it up. My hand shook, not with fear, but with fury. The entire room hushed. "You want to hear about family values?" I began, my voice carrying through the hall. "Let me tell you about this family." Gasps rose, whispers starting. My parents froze, their smiles stiff, their bodies locked in place. For 9 years, I worked to pay off debts they refused to touch, while my mother bought perfume worth more than my groceries, while my father gambled away his nights, while my sister flaunted jewelry she didn't earn. I broke my back working double shifts. I fed their pride with my exhaustion. I pulled the first sheet of paper from my folder, receipts, stamped and signed. I held it high so the front row could see. Every payment was in my name, not theirs. Mine. The whispers grew louder, faces in the crowd twisted in disgust. And how did they thank me? By locking me outside in a thunderstorm with my baby in my arms. While lightning split the sky, while rain soaked us to the bone, I begged them to let us in. My mother pulled the curtain shut. My father laughed. "Better the rain deal with you. She's useless anyway." The hall erupted, shocked voices, chairs scraping, people turning toward my parents like they had sprouted horns. Mom's face drained of color. Dad shook his head violently. "She's lying. She's always been dramatic, ungrateful." I slammed another folder onto the podium, the noise cracking like thunder. Inside were signed statements from neighbors who had seen me working late, who had seen me shivering on that porch. Proof. Undeniable. "Ungrateful?" I barked into the mic. "Ungrateful is watching your daughter nearly collapse in a storm and laughing. Ungrateful is taking everything she's worked for, then pretending to be saints in front of strangers." The room turned. The smiles that had once fed my parents' egos dissolved into scowls. A woman in pearls muttered, "Monsters!" A man near the stage shook his head. "You should be ashamed." Mom lunged forward, trying to grab the mic, her mask shattering. "Stop this right now, Emma. You're making a fool of yourself." I pulled back, my voice cutting her off. "No, tonight the fools are you, and every single person here will finally see it." Gasps echoed again. My daughter stirred in my arms, her little fingers curling around my collar. That tiny grip gave me strength. I turned to the crowd one last time. "This is my family, the people who sold out their own blood for greed, who locked their daughter and granddaughter out in a storm. They call themselves proud. I call them what they are, cowards." Silence swallowed the room, heavy and damning. Then, slowly, applause began. Not polite, not hesitant. Furious applause, like the crowd wanted to drown my parents in shame. My mother's face twisted as people turned away from her, refusing to meet her eyes. Dad tried to speak, but no one listened. Lindsay, her smugness gone, covered her face with trembling hands. I stepped down from the stage, holding my baby close. The crowd parted, eyes full of pity for me, but disgust for them. My parents stood stranded, stripped of the one thing they worshipped most, their reputation. Outside, the night air was cool. The storm was gone, replaced by a sky full of stars. I looked up, my baby breathing steady against me, and felt lighter than I had in years. They had tried to bury me in rain, but I had become the storm that washed them away. And as their empire of lies crumbled behind me, I knew one thing for certain: they would never recover from this. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments, from where are you watching this video?